What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 61 of the single player Let's Play. So, as you can see, we are definitely getting a ton of ores coming in pretty much all the time now from that little quarry we had set up. And we're getting some pulverized iron now. Hopefully here in a little bit we should start getting some platinum, I would imagine. I've been leaving the quarry running for quite a while. So, ideally, we'll get some of that stuff going. So, I want to preface this episode with a few things. First of all, this is probably going to be the last episode of this Let's Play season. And the reason is, well, honestly, I'm just kind of losing motivation to play. It's fun. There's lots of stuff that I think about that I want to do in this, but then I remember that there's a lot of mods out there that are updating to 1.12, and it's looking like a really fun playing terrain right now. I've been playing around with it in my own time, and it's something I've really actually wanted to record right now. But unfortunately, I can't, go ahead and start doing that until I give this Let's Play world a proper close. So, I thought today, with as much platinum as we had coming in, I really wanted to do some cool stuff with that. Maybe we'll start getting platinum soon. I think I just had a decent bit come in. But nonetheless, I thought it'd be cool to at least kind of, wrap it up in a nice, clean, and concise way. So we have some cool stuff going on here. What is that? Oh, bowls. That's right. I forgot. I updated Unity, my Unity basis on this texture pack, and honestly, there's a lot about it that I like still, but there's a few things that I think I'm going to change. I think hopefully by the next time I record, I'm going to have a very light version of Unity. It does a lot of changes, and I actually realized the other day that it no longer looks like vanilla like it used to. Some things do, but there's a lot of textures that I noticed are very, very, very different. So, I don't really know where to start with this season finale, or I guess series finale. I'm not really sure. It's not really the end of a series. I plan on doing more. Wow, that's a lot of gold coming in. Wow. But I guess we can just do a really brief tour of kind of everything that has been going on. So, of course, we have our factory up here where we're automatically producing blast, or with our blast furnace, we're automatically producing steel on a request-based system. We had our little automatic coke system here, which was honestly not very automatic at all, but the automatic part was the magic of processing the fluids for us. So if we come down here, you'll see we have automatic fluid tank that's filled and then actually gets cleared out here if it gets too full. Just with a little bit of comparator logic. So the factory itself is, it's a very plain system here. We have our crusher, which was the only method that we ever ended up using for ore processing. I am actually relatively proud of that part. I think that was a cool thing to do. We have our immersive engineering wiring coming down to the source. So up here we had a ton of these thermoelectric generators going into some wires. And we had a series of water mills and some water mills of the extra utilities variant as well. And evidently a sheep now. That's a friendly little change. And we had all of this nice little platforming around going to, or rather bridging around so that it would seem, relatively connected to the rest of our little area here. So next up over here, and yes, we do have a transparent pressure plate. Very, very useful thing to have. We had our warp pad, which could take us to the nether or the end. Right now, I think that was it. I don't know that that's going anywhere. That fourth button, I don't know what that fourth button even is. That might just be... I don't know. I don't think it goes anywhere. You can tell it doesn't go anywhere. But you can see nether or end with a currently dialed button. Really cool little setup. Over here we have basically everything I had hoped to do that I just kind of never got done. So we actually did get this stuff done. So that's good. We did that. We did that. We did not get to these few steps. There's 6 things on this board that we didn't do. So why don't we go ahead and do these two? Well, maybe not the Guardian Farm, but definitely do the Ocean Monument. This one was never going to happen, unfortunately. I wanted it to very, very, very badly, But just right now with the state of agricraft, it's just not possible. But let's go to the ocean monument, why don't we? So if we look at my waypoint, we have this one. We'll just turn it on and head on over. It's not that far. In fact, we'll fly over, and I'll talk about some of the stuff that I'm looking forward to in the flight. So, of course, for 112, there's a lot of cool stuff that I'm excited for. There's one mod that, in particular, I'm concerned about that has not updated, that is, well, honestly, it's a basis for a lot of other mods. It's a tiny, tiny mod, too. As soon as I mention this mod, you're going to be like, really? That's the mod you're worried about? Why are you worried about that mod? Don't worry about that mod. It's so insubstantial. Baubles. Baubles has not updated yet, and it concerns me. Now, the reason it concerns me is because Asnor has already expressed his disinterest in continuing Thaumcraft, which completely understandable. You guys know me and my disinterest to keep up with some things. For example, this Let's Play series. Unfortunately, I've not been the best at keeping up with it. And you can see my little heat there on the right from my power suit. It's getting a little toasty. I should probably stop running for just a second. There we go. So, you know, that really does concern me. It genuinely terrifies me that baubles might be either a holdup or just completely gone. Now, I've noticed that Portable Gym's Angel Rings to Bauble mod, which is the one that we're using right now, is updated to 112. I don't know how. It requires baubles, of course, still. I can't find any baubles builds around, and as a developer, I actually kind of have a slight niblet of insight as to where to start looking for some of these things. For example, I know in other coders... well, this is embarrassing. I don't see an ocean monument. Let's look around. Maybe it was just in this vicinity, and I was very generic with my bookmarking. But, you know, I know how to go through people's build files and figure out what repositories and what Maven build sites they upload to so that I can go and browse them if I need to. Oh, you know what happened? I forgot. I cleaned up the chunks in this world, and I guess that monument decided not to generate this time. I forgot that I cleaned up the chunks in this world. Oh, well. There's something, though. That's potentially promising. Or just potentially nothing. Who knows? Actually, yeah, no, what is this? This is weird. Okay. I guess we can explore this while I'm here. But yeah, so with baubles, you know, having not formally updated at least, I'm worried about what that means for other mods. And these mods that I am discussing particularly are mods like Tool Belt, which is a mod that I've actually come to really heavily rely on in my server. In fact, I don't know what I'm going to do without it if it doesn't work as a bauble, because if it's just a hotbar item, when things become hotbar items to me, certain things, not everything, but certain things become hotbar items to me, they immediately become less valuable. And I hate to sound, you know, particularly bitter or like, oh, if you make a handy utility and it's not a bauble, it's useless. Or if it takes up a hotbar space, it's useless. It's not that. It's that hotbar space... in particular, even with Quark's new 111/112 feature of hotbar swapping, it is precious. There's 9 slots. This game already does not give you, in my opinion, enough inventory space, so to sacrifice one more slot, one more position in a critical place in order to have something work, or in order to have something at least be useful, invalidates it to me. And if I have to keep it in my inventory, that's particularly troublesome in general, because if it's not in my hotbar, if it's in my general inventory, I'm bound to at least once an hour put it away on accident. Then what am I actually getting done? Whereas the baubles menu, part of why I've always appreciated it, it's out of the way. I don't notice it. I don't need it until I don't see it until I need it, and then when I need it, it's there. I can click on it, and then it's perfectly, you know, it's perfect. It just fits. It works. So I'm hoping on hope that Baubles is indeed either work in progress or out for 112. In fact, I don't know that anything in 112's changes really would affect much of anything. I don't believe player inventory code was changed even in the slightest. And by the way, I'm currently just hoping to find a monument at this point, and if I don't, then no biggie. I've got ores processing back home anyway, so maybe we'll get some platinum in by the time I'm back. So, yeah, in essence, if Baubles doesn't update, that leaves me concerns for mods like Tool Belt, mods like, honestly, the biggest one that I'm worried about is Botania. I mean, there's a lot of them. Now, if we take a look at just the keyword Bauble, you'll see, of course, there's Ender.io. Botania, this is Botania's Bauble list. All of these are Baubles from here to here. That is a lot, well, except for this one. That is a lot of baubles. That is a lot of things that would now either take up a hotbar space or start relying on some other sort of jewelry slash component slash accessory API. Now, here's the flip side to this. I actually kind of hope that baubles gets scrapped or rewritten, because it's great, it's wonderful, I think it's the perfect library, and as far as a coding perspective goes, I've looked at it myself and actually implemented a bauble once and then backed off before I even released it. I think it is one of the best and easiest to write for libraries. I also think, last time I checked, looking at my hands in real life right now, I have 10 fingers that I can put rings on, and here I apparently only have 2. Now, I will grant you, the player model, Steve or Alex, whichever you choose, only has 2 hands. Fair enough, fair enough. I hear ya. 2 hands. I guess the ring is the size of a bracelet. But is it really? Then don't call it a ring. Call it a bracelet. That's another thing. I have wrists. I can put bracelets on. But not according to this. All of these other accessories I think are perfectly placed, but I think they should have at least 2 more ring slots and at least 1, if not 2, bracelet slots, so that things can go more appropriately planned. For example, I think something like a power bracelet from The Legend of Zelda, the original ones, would be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful addition. Something that lets you mine faster or let the power bracelet make it so that your tool has a higher tool efficiency level. So an iron pick can mine obsidian if you're wearing a power bracelet. But the power bracelet would, of course, be, somewhere down a very ridiculous line or whatever. Something cool like that. Just let it happen, It would be nice to have more bauble slots. Now, I've seen other replacements. I've seen some of these things. And the problem is that they are very nice. I haven't personally tried to implement with them or interface with them at all. They're very nice looking on the surface, and I don't think that there's any problem with them. But no one has implemented them in their own mods, and until they start getting accepted by the masses, they're as good as not being made at all. Because if, X mods don't use it, but Y mods do, then you end up with X and Y mod both having 2 different mods required. So now you end up with something kind of like how we have here in 110, but not so much in 112. A requirement for the RF API and for Tesla and for Forge units. So there's 3 different, power APIs. It's sort of a similar issue there that I foresee. So, McRanterson over. Baubles is kind of the big mod that I'm concerned about in 112. Mods I'm excited about. I hate to brag. I'm going to be that guy. Geology, my own mod. I'm really excited about it. I'm working on some, as I speak now, taking a break from coding, in fact, to record this. I'm working on replacing the vanilla ores completely. New blocks, and these new blocks will basically help add a sort of interface layer between mods. For example, I'm adding quartz, an overworld quartz. There will be no nether quartz. Nether quartz will now be disabled. Overworld quartz drops and works just like nether quartz, okay? I'm getting the values directly from it. I'm getting all of my ore values directly from the vanilla variant, so do not try to say I got this wrong or I did this different. I'm literally making a direct call code-wise to what is already written by Mojang. So, since they're already spot on 1-to-1, what I've decided to do is implement something like this, but also add in bonuses. So if there is a Certus Quartz item available from Applied Energistics, Overworld quartz has a chance of dropping that because in real life, quartz as a mineral has that chance. I'm not going to go on in too deep of detail, but I'm essentially adding all sorts of really neat compatibility layers, such as cinnabar ore will be the new redstone, but if you need redstone ore for any reason whatsoever, you can still get it by silk touching cinnabar. You'll get vanilla redstone from silk touching cinnabar. Cool stuff like that that gives you, and you don't gain anything from getting vanilla redstone. I'm not trying to keep anything keep you from getting something like Terra Firma Craft where it's like a complete overhaul. I just wanted new textures and better clumping styles and more control over what can be dropped and how mechanics can be handled. You can do a lot of that with Minecraft Forge's event handlers, but there's some that maybe can't be done so easily. So that's essentially the purpose for all of that. So Geology is going to be really cool. Oh, there we go. We got a piece of platinum. I think I should be getting a decent bit coming in soon, I hope. Okay, piece of cinnabar, a few pieces. So, with Geology coming up and, hopefully going to be a potentially very powerful change to the game, honestly, because the essence of Geology is to make it so that you have to set up mining outposts. It adds a little bit of difficulty. So currently the things that are missing from 1.12 are unified methods of changing recipes. Things that are in 1.12 that aren't in 1.10. A lot of things. Embers, roots too, rather. Oh, I can get rid of this now. I forgot. Whoops. There's... I'm trying to think of what all the mods are. I came up with an entire list because I'm actually potentially going to open a server instead. And I might just record that server. I might include you guys in with that server. That way you guys can see it all as it happens because there's a lot of cool stuff. We'll have applied energistics. I think we're also going to have refined storage. And whenever I have a chance to be able to change the vanilla recipes around in a nice, clean, unified way, then yeah, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make it so that refined storage is a precursor to applied energistics. I think that that's something that should totally be done. So, with mods like those, and in fact here, let me just go and take a look. I've got an entire folder right here that I can just take a look at and tell you guys kind of what I'm looking at for mods. Astral Sorcery is one that I never got into on here. I want to. I haven't actually used it. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have Rustic, which is a new mod. It's out in 1.10, but it's better in 1.12. And I'm considering using a custom Lost Cities world type. The Lost Cities are a mod by McJady. It's a world type that allows you to interface kind of with other world types, actually. It's really nice and openly compatible. And I'm considering using it mostly because of the fact that it would be very, very, very nostalgic for me. I like the city style. Anti-blocks have a glow now. Ooh, I missed that. That looks pretty good. So, there's a lot of stuff that I miss. Now, of that, there's a few mods that are missing as well in 1.12, which make me sad, but they'll come. Of course, baubles I already talked about. With that, Botania is also missing, so we'll have to wait. We'll have, a few buggy mods, of course, but the one that I'm thinking the most, that will be the most missed, honestly, is going to be Ender IO. I like the conduit system, and we won't have it. But on the flip side, we'll have thermal dynamics. I can never remember. There's too many thermal mods now. Thermal cultivation, dynamic expansion. Great, this has happened. So, we'll have all those mods, and they'll turn out pretty nice in my opinion. Wearable backpacks will be probably the new backpacks mod. I don't think I'll be using expandable backpacks like I am now. Plus, I don't think it's updated either. But Ender IO, definitely not going to be in yet. The nice side is it doesn't add world gen, so we don't have to even stress about, when we add it, we'll have to reset the map or whatever. No, we don't. It's nice. I don't think Blood Magic has updated to 1.12 either, but same case goes for it. No world gen, we don't really have to sweat it. Botania? No. We'll get back to it. It'll come around. We can add flowers. There's floral fertilizer. It's possible to live without Botania at the start of a world. So, long and short of it, there's a few mods that are, not there yet, but there's a few mods that are pretty ready. One of them that I'm kind of actually super duper excited about, to be honest with you guys, is Tekel. It's a mod by the Elytra Dev, and the Elytra Dev are Who all is included with it? I'm sorry, I'm feeling really embarrassed now. I can't remember all the Elytra dev off the top of my head. In fact, I can't remember any of them. But they're working on this entire sort of like really nice style to Minecraft that I'm honestly quite a big fan of. One of the mods that came out in 1.8 that I was really, really attracted to back when mods weren't updating at all, and we were kind of just all sitting on our hands waiting and hoping, was a mod called Correlated Potentialistics, and it used power to give you sort of a refined storage or applied energistics style network. But how it did it was in a pretty much you either had everything touching, so there were no cables, there was no cable system. All your connections have to be directly adjacent, they have to be touching. And as such, you know, the really cool part of that is the fact that they had these, you know, wireless, or it has now these wireless receivers and transmitters, so that if you do need to go somewhere or take this somewhere else, you can. It just requires one of those. So they work on a few other things, and Tekel is essentially a red power to piping system and fundamental system replacement, or clone. I'm not really sure. I'm going to say replacement. I prefer the term replacement. So Red Power 2 was one of my favorite mods. I think it was one of every modded Minecrafter's favorite mods at one point. And everyone knows that, you know, Elaram is long gone, probably, you know, doing whatever. Coding. We know she's coding. But, you know, it's not really around anymore, and a lot of people miss it. Most of what people miss is the piping system, myself included. And Tekel adds that, as well as a few of, like I said, the really core fundamental alloy smelter, the various alloys, nickelite, all of these really cool ores and materials. So I'm actually very much looking forward to having that one, and I think that'll be one of the ones that'll be the best to have, just kind of as a tease to come join the 112 team. So, of course, there's all the thermal mods. They're already out. They're already ready. Immersive Engineering is ready. MC Multipart is in a beta. There's no super circuit makers. That kind of makes me sad. It'll come. I know it will. But until then, there's this thing called Mineco processors, which essentially lets you program assembly in a written book and then flash that onto this little sub-chip. And currently, while I'm talking, I'm just trying to run around and show you guys as much as I can if you ever just missed something that did a certain feature that you didn't know how it worked. So the various little bits and bobs here and there of 112 are really kind of getting coherent. You know, everything's kind of coming back together again. 110 and 1.8 and 1.9 kind of turned into, here we go, guys. Everything's going to be all over the place. We're going to have 6 different power libraries, and they're all going to be, you know, almost the same, but a little bit different. And in my opinion, it's really aggravating. I'm not kidding when I say I've got 3 different power library jars installed, and then one which is required simply to make the others work together. That's not really user-friendly at that point. And as a programmer myself, I feel like, you know, making things user-friendly is pretty critical. And that's not anymore at that point. That's just making things incredibly inconvenient on the front end. And if people are discouraged to use your mod or your features because you can't get your stuff together, then that looks bad on your part. And I've had that. I've had that a few times. I can't tell you how many times I've thought about installing a mod, and I'll get the mod installed, I'll put it in my mods folder, and then as soon as I launch it, the game pops up and says, missing so-and-so required library. And it's for a mod that does something simple, like adds, I don't know, I've had some dumb ones, and I'm just like, I don't understand why. You know, and I hate to rag on him. Shadowfax is one of these people that I'm kind of referring to. Shadowfax makes excellent mods, but they all require Shadowfax Dev, or is it Shadow MC? I think Shadow MC is the core library. So, for example, if I wanted Shadowfax's sleeping bags, I'd have to install Shadow MC. Shadow MC requires his other library, which is called Forgelin, which allows him to write in Kotlin for Minecraft Forge. Which Kotlin is a variant of is another programming language that compiles to Java. So, in essence, I have to have 2 other mods to have a sleeping bag, and stuff like that just gets a little bit excessive. And you see that with all sorts of mods. I'm picking on him because he's the first example I could think of, but I have seen so many others. In fact, Unidict, one of the really useful mods that I'm using now to consolidate my ore dictionary massively, requires it, and I don't understand why it requires another library. Just implement it into the one and only mod you make, or copy and paste your code. I understand the concept of boilerplate code. I know it. I code it. I have each one of my mods, all 5 of them, have one class that's exactly the same across all of the mods. And guess what? I don't complain. I'm not going to make someone install a dependency. I just refuse to. So, rant over for that part as well. I do think that 1.12 has a lot of promising unification, because we have, you know, King Lemming actively developing and has a separated jar Redstone Flux library that is out, and I think that was the best decision he possibly could have made. I think it was just a good programming, a good developer decision. All in all, I think that was a good decision, because now he doesn't have to worry about updating the rest of his mods for someone to get a hold of an updated API. He just has to update the API itself. He can walk away from it, and if thermal expansion mods die in the future, the library holding up the energy system will not. So, you know, I think that that's a really good programming plan on his part, and I think it'll be, overall, a really good change. And I think 1.12 will be a really good change. I've been playing with it for a while. All the mods seem to really like working with each other, and it's kind of cool to see that. That's part of what Geology is all about. You know, I add these simple ores that are, they're these minerals that look complex and look scary, like Terra Firmacraft, but then you break one, and it just drops copper, and you're like, oh, that's a familiar resource. Cool. I'll write that down somewhere. Or, you know, I'll make a bookmark. This is a huge vein, and I'm not going to finish this today. Stuff like that. And, you know, you take that, and it works. It just works in every machine. And you don't have to worry about having 6 types of metals and minerals, because they all drop the same copper, even though copper comes from different resources. And, you know, you have a lot of different stuff along those lines. Actually Additions has this new power system called Crystal Flux, and I think it has some of the most beautiful item renders for, or rather overlay renders for RF durability that I've ever possibly imagined. I think they're really beautiful. They have this rainbow gradient that comes in and out, and I think it's cool. But it's Crystal Flux, and you're like, oh great, Crystal Flux, another freaking library. Yeah, guess what? It's completely RF compatible, and I think it's also Forge Energy compatible. I didn't have to install anything to make it that way. LPEC is just awesome, and he made it work. And I think that that's, you know, a sign of what's to come. Forestry is updated, and last I checked, everything's working just fine for that. And, you know, it's nice to just see everything kind of come full circle, come back to a point of working again, of being good again. So, you know, with this hopefully, you know, very talkative episode where we go through and walk through the world and see what's going on and kind of leave everything up to where it's at, I'm going to just kind of go through a few last things. I think this is the last thing that I haven't really discussed or walked by, which was the little milk farmer that I made. And, you know, chickens and milk and cake up here. I never really did use this as much as I probably should have, although I used it a lot for the Deep Dark Portal, because I needed a lot of mana for the Terra Steel. So, you know, I didn't get to do viaducts at all. I really wanted to, but we'll save that for 1.12. How about that? We used a lot of conduits and Ender IO stuff this time. We'll reverse it next time. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the series. I really did, myself. I think it was a really fun series, and as a matter of fact, I'm not really notoriously good about saving mod packs and saving instances, but this one is one that I'm probably going to keep in the archives. I'm particularly tickled by just how nice this world turned out, how much stuff we got done, how many things we automated. We automated so many things. I mean, we automated the advanced canola oils. We automated all the metal presses. We never did automate killing the slimes. But we automated all of the alloy smeltery, or most of the alloy smeltery recipes. I mean, we got a lot of stuff done on a large scale. We have automatic wither farming, and I'd never believe that I would have that again. So, to be honest, I think we've come a very, very awesomely far way in this world. I think that this has been one of the most progressed worlds I've ever had, to be honest. And if I ever get in the mood to just sit down and play a super overpowered world again where I don't have to worry about surviving at all, I can just come in and own it, and I've got, you know, a lot of resources handled and cool stuff to, I just feel like building with a lot of stuff. I'm probably going to come to this pack because, to be honest, you know, I do get those hankerings every now and then where I'm just like, I really just feel like sitting down and playing a cool, simple pack. that has everything, you know, not simple pack, but a cool pack that already has everything handled for me, where I don't have to sit here and mine for an hour or automate this process. It's done. I did it. You know, this will be the world. This will be the pack. So I'm going to save this one around for later. And, you know, like I said, thank you guys for joining me. However many decide want to watch this or do watch this, I still really, really thoroughly appreciate it. So, as always, I'll see you guys in the next one in a whole new version of the game.